This is the Playgasm Podcast for May 6, 2007. I'm Keith Harbord. Joining me are Josh Bicknell.
Hello.
And Nick Maselli.
Booyah!
It's been a while. How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Pretty goddamn fantastic.
It's nice to finally be back together.
It's my birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Happy
brother.
birthday, Nick.
That's right.
I hear you got engaged.
I did, as well.
Your life is
Awesome.
over.
Congratulations.
It's pretty fantastically awesome. I hear nothing but death and doom from my coworkers at work, so I think I might as well have some fun for the next year and then sign my life away.
They're probably only half right.
Probably only have half a cock because they're awful at life, but that's another story.
Yeah, I hear you got a PS Triple, too.
Yeah, that comes with the birthday package, which is very much loved. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. You guys are awesome. It was all at Chad Warden's request.
That guy's hilarious.
Actually, he's a fucking idiot.
Unless he's not on the up and up. I mean, maybe he's doing the whole Borat-type skit comedy that people seem to appreciate.
You know, I thought that too. I was like, maybe this kid's like faking it, but I can't really tell. It's the internet, of course.
The only thing of his that I have to agree with is the fact that Mario is a border-jumping Mexican.
You don't know that. I mean, he's got an accent, sure, but is he Mexican?
You can tell by the mustache.
What about his brother?
Yeah, he's just gay.
But is he Mexican too, or is he born in the United States?
No, I hear he's Australian.
By birth, or by nationality, or what?
Yes.
All of the above was that answer.
Yep.
Awesome. So each of you guys has a triple except me. I'm the only one without a PS3 right now. Makes me sad.
I would
you
feel
know-
pretty inadequate if I was you. I mean, not to put any pressure on you, but inadequacies.
We're seeing some videos from GDC on Home. That shit looks pretty good.
Yeah, Home's gonna be awesome. It's too bad I didn't get into the beta. I really wanted to. Fucking Sony. Seriously, I've been in the gap since like 2003. You screwed me, and I hate you, and your mom, and your dog. Your robotic fucking dog.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the people that got in, like, it was extremely random, and people seem pretty loose-lipped with it. I've already seen a lot of leaked screenshots and feature sets and stuff like that. So, even though I'm not in it, I'm in it in spirit through, like, forums and shite.
So we're wholeheartedly encouraging people to violate their terms of service, those who got into the Home beta, and to post as much content as they possibly can on the interweb.
Most
Especially
definitely.
for me.
Yeah, we definitely need people breaking the NDAs because there's no other way for me to get my preview.
So we should probably talk about what exactly Home is, and what it's meant to do, and why the fuck do we want it.
Well, I can start out by saying I probably don't want it, but at the same time I'm intrigued by it. I definitely like what it can do, but I don't want to use it for almost anything. It sounds like something I'm going to jump in at every now and then. Unless it has some whiz-bang feature I have no clue exists yet.
So people who've been living under a rock don't know what Home is. Home is basically an immersive environment or world or whatever you want to call it, where people can walk around and interact with other, I don't want to call them avatars, but they kind of look like the Sims characters. You basically create your own character to look however you want, close to a human being as possible, probably.
I want
As opposed to like a dog or an alien.
Right. But basically it's ways for people on PS3 to interact outside of the games.
Essentially think, Xbox Live, but more graphical, basically.
So, Josh, you seem pretty amped about it. Why are you about the Home?
I'm more amped about it for the fact of the innovation that I am the actual service itself. I mean, it's doing so much different that we've never seen on the console before. I mean, obviously we've seen similar things on PC, like Second Life, but still, on the console side, it's something we've never seen before, so that's why I'm more psyched about it.
No, I mean, we've seen everything in some form or another. I mean, we've seen minigames being played online. We've seen character customization. We've seen movie trailers. What we haven't seen is everything all put together in one neat little package. That's pretty handy. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm intrigued by it.
Well, the fact that you can take things from your hard drive, like a video that you downloaded, and show it in your little home apartment thingy,
Yeah, which is just going to turn into kiddie porn bombs. I mean, let's be serious.
That's exactly what I want. I want to have like a Playgasm area where there's nothing but pigs fucking each other. I think that would be amazing.
And invite people into our barnyard happiness.
Don't judge me.
I'm psyched about home, and I don't even have a PS3 yet, but I'm more psyched about it because I look at it as a place for me and my friends to hang out when I'm not gaming, when we're not gaming together, we're not, doing the podcast or whatever. We can go into one of our living spaces and watch movies, hang out, talk, all the things that we would otherwise be doing on the PC, but we can do it in a graphical environment and see what each other's, avatar or whatever you want to call it looks like, and it's more of a personal connection. It's a more way for gamers to interact personally on a personal level. It kind of makes people feel less detached from each other, even though we're separated, by hundreds of miles.
Well, I mean, it could be pretty cool. I mean, this is going to sound really awful, but you have a bunch of people come into your house. You all sit on the couches that you put up. You watch your Sony Bravia that they conveniently put in the game, and you're all sitting there watching Casino Royale on that. I mean, if you could do that and everyone's sitting around watching a movie, I mean, I guess that's as close as you can get to simulating real life without actually living, if you want to put it that way.
But aren't we getting, closer to that already with, services like There and Second Life? I mean, those places are already doing some things similar to that. I mean, companies are hosting press conferences inside these virtual worlds. And that's the innovation side, I think, that Josh was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Except there's no flying penises.
Yet.
Oh, I hope there are.
Do you see Home turning into a lot more than what we saw when it was initially introduced to GDC, or do you see it being more or less what they showed us, and then that's going to be it?
I think it's going to be more than what we saw, but like what I've seen a lot of other people saying, the success of Home is not on Sony's shoulders. It's on the consumer and the developers, because each person is given an area where they can do their own thing. Developers can make their own area where they can have little mini games based around, like, say, I don't know, Warhawk. You can fly around and drop poop on people. I don't know, but still, its success is built around the developers and consumers rather than Sony. So we'll see what happens with it.
I agree. I can definitely see developers, trying to one-up each other. Like, come to our area. This is the cool place to hang out because these are the things that we have. These are the features we have for you to check out in our areas. So, I mean, it's a marketing ploy to some extent, sure. But it's also, the innovation is going to be there because it's going to be them coming up with new ways to attract the eyeballs to whatever it is that they're trying to sell to us.
Well, and this is something I kicked around in the forums, but when God of War 3, for instance, comes out, I think it would really kick ass if, like, Kratos was just kind of walking around at home randomly, and he can interact with people. I mean, not so much interact in the sense that he's going around killing people and raping women and cursing
like
and
in
stuff.
a Disney World way.
But yeah, like, exactly, in a Disney World way. I mean, if you're sitting there playing pool, like, he'll hop on the table and play with you or something. It'd just be cool to see him, it'll remind you the game's coming out, and, oh yeah, Kratos kicks ass, so I want to buy it. I thought that'd be pretty kick-ass.
I think the possibilities are very wide open. I mean, I didn't see anything in there about weather or, how the environments could change. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they really didn't talk about, but there's definitely a possibility of these things happening. And with the PlayStation 3 as powerful as it is, I mean, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what they end up doing with it. And I mean, in terms of comparing it to what Xbox Live offers, it's really, really far and away different, but kind of the same.
Well, remember, everything basically around home that has to do with games is also going to be built into the cross-media bar. So you don't have to go into home to invite a bunch of friends to join a game together or do all these things, just like you expect from Xbox Live. So that's going to be critical on Sony's part, that they keep it balanced between home and everything built into the cross-media bar. Because, like I said, not everybody is going to want to use home.
Right. So we've mentioned downloadable games like Warhawk and Calling All Cars is coming out. So Double Dragon is coming out for Xbox Live Arcade as a downloadable game soon. So what do you think of the current state of Xbox Live Arcade in comparison to, let's say, the Virtual Console and the PlayStation Network?
My knee-jerk reaction to that is to say it's a joke, but go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, well, I think right now the PlayStation Network side is the joke, but Xbox Live was a equally joke at the time, that we have on PlayStation 3. I mean, Calling All Cars is a game built up from the ground, so obviously it's going to take time to come out, whereas all you're doing is porting over Double Dragon. We got Mortal Kombat 2 and Tekken Dark Resurrection on the PlayStation side and a couple other games, but I think if you go back to Xbox Live, then it is a joke, because there's really no big games over there that I personally am interested in besides Street Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, they had Geometry Wars, which was huge. I don't think anyone doesn't like Geometry Wars. And they have Street Fighter, which is awesome. And then, since then, they have, what? So, I mean...
Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, exactly. Which ends up breaking people's consoles with certain updates. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to be... They don't seem to be focusing as much on the Xbox Live side of things.
No, they don't. I mean, they're releasing games, but nothing that really has mass critical appeal to it. I mean, Double Dragon, don't get me wrong, was a great game. I loved it back when I was like 7 years old. But the fact that they're adding online to it is a little bit, I don't know, it'll feel tacked on after a while. I mean, Contra, how many times can you play Contra? And now that you can play it online, it's the same thing. It'll feel tacked on.
Yeah, I think they need to add something. I mean, they need something more than what they're currently doing, because they're falling behind pretty quickly. And maybe they don't even necessarily see these games as being something that they really need to focus on. I mean, getting Symphony of the Night was pretty good, but it's still just an old game that they're bringing in. It's more of like a virtual console approach versus a ground-up type game like a Warhawk or a Calling All Cars. So it's like, I want that something awesome.
This is pure speculation, but I wonder if the Elite version, or Elite 360, does well. Is that going to usher in, the era of the bigger downloadable game? Because the larger hard drive will be able to accommodate more large-size games.
Well, Microsoft has that limit of how big your game can be for Xbox Live Arcade, and they just raised it. I think before it was like 50 megabytes.
Yeah,
right. They can change that.
Yeah, they just changed it for Symphony of the Night, but I don't think that they really have anything, at least that I've heard of, that's being built up from the ground for Xbox Live Arcade, whereas, Sony, like we said, has Calling All Cars. So I don't know what they're doing.
So basically, Xbox Marketplace or Live Marketplace and Live Arcade, these are just become ways for Microsoft to sell us the same games over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, you have to figure the XNA is coming out also for the 360, which could end up being like ridiculously awesome if they do that right. I mean, if it just becomes, once a month you get a user-created game, that'd be pretty bad. But if it's the YouTube of games that they promoted it as, that could be something that's just incredible.
Yeah, but Microsoft also promoted people designing their own T-shirts on the Xbox 360, and then they would send them to them. So I don't really hold everything that they say to heart.
Not only that, I mean, I'm probably going to get some hate mail or some negative reaction to this, but just judging from the average level of gamer that's on Xbox Live, I really don't think that them making their own games is really going to be successful.
It all depends on the type of game. I guess you can say that like a lot of people that would see Calling All Cars and be like, "What the hell is this? This looks pretty boring." But from what I've heard, it's actually really fun, and it's almost like an NBA Jam with cars. So it all depends on what Microsoft would have to do to get the focus of their gamer base.
Maybe, but as far as I'm concerned, you might as well go back over to the PS3 side and buy PS1 titles on PlayStation Store if you want to play games like that.
What you could do, or you can go on Nintendo's Virtual Console and get old games for $5, which is a ripoff.
Well, I mean, you're getting the old games, and you're getting the old games in their pure form, so you're not getting any added features, you're not getting any online. I mean, the best thing you can talk about is that the 64 games get the improvements to the Wii hardware. So, I mean, your really awful-looking polygons look a little less awful. So, I mean, to me, that's not an upgrade.
In 480p. Yay.
Next gen.
Speaking of next gen, there's a rumor that the Xbox 360 is going to undergo a change and get a smaller core on the video card. What does this mean to 360's game capabilities? I mean, is it going to affect games at all? Or does this mean cooler, quieter Xbox 360s?
Probably just be cooler, but this is something that really should have just been included with the Xbox 360 Elite. Same with the smaller CPU cores that they've been promising. They came out with the console, the newer version of the console, and it was lacking what people actually thought it would have had. I mean, yeah, you have an outdated HDMI port, but a lot of people wanted a quieter console and one that doesn't put out as much heat. And you're not going to achieve these things unless you put the smaller cores on your CPU and your GPU.
Yeah, I mean, really, the Elite to me is, I think it's really awesome that, I mean, they're finally giving you an option to have HDMI. But what I think isn't awesome is that they have an upgraded, system, but all they really upgraded was the hard drive and the port at the bottom. I mean, everything else is identical. I mean, where's the wireless? Where's the smaller GPU sizes? Where's all that stuff? I mean, the system is, I mean, for them, this thing is, they're probably laughing all the way to the bank with this system. So
it's black.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, that says it all right there. They're selling it because it's black. I mean, it doesn't have Wi-Fi like you said. The hard drive, yeah, it's really big, but what are you going to put on it?
Well, they're banking that the downloadable service, which apparently is taking off pretty well, that you're going to be using that to stuff the hard drive with. I mean, I know I'd say a good amount of 360 owners, and I don't know any of them who are really coming close to hitting their limit. But I mean, if you listen to the other podcasts, they always talk about how they're at their limit and they couldn't wait to get the larger hard drive and things of that nature. So I mean, I guess there are people out there that are looking for it. But I mean, it's also the EP-ness thing. It's like, how big's your hard drive? My hard drive is 6 times the size of yours. So I mean, it's that.
Did they really have to come out with a different SKU just for a bigger hard drive? No, they didn't. If they were going to do it properly, they should have had wireless built into it. They should have had HDMI built into it. Your smaller GPU core, your smaller CPU core, a quieter DVD drive. That's the way that they should have done it. But in fact, now you have to spend an extra $100 to get the wireless if you don't have it already. And then, say you have a premium or a core system, now you have to spend like $120 for the bigger hard drive or something like that. That's a fucking ripoff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty bad.
I mean, you can replace the hard drive in the PlayStation 3 just by doing a couple of screws.
I think the Xbox 360 Elite version is basically just a way for Microsoft to hype or push the HD DVD back into the forefront, or get it back into the gaming community's living rooms. Because to some extent, Blu-ray is kicking the shit out of HD DVD.
But still, it's not going to use it properly. It's not going to use it for games. It's just for movies. And I don't know. A lot of people are still not interested in watching movies on their console. I mean, it's a cheap HD DVD player.
It might come down to whether games actually are going to utilize the larger space provided by the HD DVD.
Well, speaking of the 360, one of the games that are coming out for it that's pretty highly anticipated is Too Human from Silicon Knights. And we all know that Dennis Diak has had a fun time, I'd say, with the press in terms of pimping his game, getting into the argument on EGM, and now with his most recent statement saying that gamers don't want long, epic games, that they had to split Too Human into 3 games to form a trilogy. So, what do you guys think? Do we not like playing long games?
I love playing long games. It makes me feel like I'm getting more for my money.
I'm just going to call his statement a result of Generation ADD. It's kind of a joke when you say that gamers don't like long games, and yet look at the best-selling games. Some of them are games that, yeah, you can pick up and play, but they're also games that are so immersive that you play them for long, long, long periods of time. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is one of those games that I would say maybe the storyline and regular gameplay doesn't last more than 60 hours, but you can pick that game up and play for long, long periods of time. But I wouldn't say that it's one of those games that has only 60 hours of gameplay in it, or a Final Fantasy game.
I mean,
the same thing.
I just picked up Oblivion for the PS3, and that game is touted to have like 100+ hours of gameplay, right? Oblivion is arguably the most critically acclaimed game of 2006, 2007. And that game with 100+ hours getting the acclaim that it has, it's like a slap to the face of that comment. I mean, how can you make a comment like that when a game like that is shining in the forefront?
Because he's a fucking idiot and he wants press.
Well, he wants press, but he also wants to justify the fact that they're going into more episodic gaming. I mean, episodic gaming generally is about releasing not necessarily content, but retelling the same story over and over again, in my opinion. Basically, you're releasing a game that does the exact same thing, maybe once every 6 months or once every year.
Half-Life tried to do episodic content, and they failed because they couldn't keep with the release schedule. So, I mean, that kind of failed in that sense. In Episode 1 and 2, I heard there was a little bit of technical differences, but for the most part, it's really story. And then you have Sam and Max going episodic, and apparently people like that a good amount, and they seem to be pretty consistent with their releases. But, I mean, is episodic gaming meant to screw the consumer, where we're paying more money to get something that we're used to getting all in one package?
I don't think it is. I mean, I think it's more looking at the gaming industry more in terms of the movie industry. They probably see episodic gaming as something similar to what they did with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Those 3 movies were filmed back to back to back, but obviously you couldn't release them all at the same time. That'd just be stupid, and no one would want to sit through 9+ hours, whatever it is, uncut or edited for the director's cut versions. But gaming, to me, is totally different than watching a movie. I think gaming should be as immersive as possible and as long as possible, and if your concept or idea for the game means a 100-hour game, that's what it should be. You shouldn't try to cut it down and pare it down because you think that some people don't have the attention span for a longer game.
Like me.
Like Josh.
Well, I mean, I'd have to say it's the whole aspect of story is something that's, I don't want to say new to games, but it's something that's being a lot more looked into. I mean, people are saying that story is one of the factors that they rate games on, whereas someone like Time Magazine's Top 100 Inspirational People, Miyamoto would tell you that it's all about the gameplay factor, and that everything else would likely be secondary. So, I mean, it's extremely interesting, the different.
It definitely is.
The perceptions of story and things of that nature. But yeah. So while I mentioned Miyamoto, what do you guys think? Miyamoto, Top 100, and Fatality writing about himself and then saying Miyamoto's name within it.
I think it's too early to tell.
How influential he is?
Yeah.
Josh, you got nothing?
Well, he's definitely...
He made your Mexican plumber, you got nothing?
Yeah. he definitely did influence gaming a long time ago. I mean, back in the NES up to the SNES, and obviously Mario 64 was one of the big 3D jumps. Not many people did 3D games properly at the time, at least on a console. But I don't think he's as influential now as what people say he is. I think now he's more of the icon status, and people don't really want to admit that some of the things he's been working on aren't as good as what he could have done. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, Zelda was a pretty good game, for the Wii and the GameCube. It was good. He's definitely still on the ball, but I don't think he's as legendary today as what a lot of people seem to think he is.
Well, I think it's... I mean, he had his speech that he gave about... I think it was also at GDC, about his wifeometer and how Nintendo's stance nowadays is trying to gather, the approval of his wife, whereas getting the casuals and the hardcores with games like Nintendogs and, the more hardcore games like Mario and Zelda and things of that nature. But I like the way he thinks, but I have to agree that, his more recent work isn't exactly as mind-blowing as, the original Super Mario Brothers or the original Legend of Zelda. But at the same time, games nowadays are so much more complicated that I think it's hard to accredit any one person to the success of a game.
But if you're looking at a list of 100 most influential people, you really have to ask the question, are you looking at how influential they are at this moment? How influential what they've recently done is going to be in the near future? Or how influential they were last year, and you're just now coming to realize that, yes, they were one of the 100 most influential people a year ago, and this is what they did, and this is how their influence has actually changed things into the current or present.
Well, I mean, they gave this to him because there's no, there's Lifetime Achievement Awards, but Time Magazine wasn't doing a Lifetime Achievement Award. I think he deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award for sure, but in terms of most influential nowadays, I mean, he has eyes on 50% of the projects according to a Nintendo Power interview that I read, but, how big is his influence within those, aside from, the huge marquee titles? I don't know.
Well, if you're looking at a Lifetime Award, which it is, then I guess I would put him on it for his past work. But like he said, his work in the last few years, I wouldn't, because gaming has changed. The gamers that used to play his games have grown up, and they're not so much looking at it anymore in the way that we did when we were younger. I mean, you look at Zelda back in the day, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. You look at Zelda today, and it's like, oh, well, cool, it's 3D, just like every other game that's out. So, in terms of today, no, but as a lifetime, yeah, the man has changed gaming. He's done a lot. We can thank him for a lot.
And to cap that story, Fatality is a douchebag for writing about himself.
Fatality is a douchebag.
We're going to take a short break. In the meantime, you're going to hear the video game music challenge. If you know what game the music comes from, post about it on the forums. We're back, and now Josh is going to tell us how many balls he drank before we started the podcast, because obviously he's way too hyper.
I had 2 big penises in my nose and 4 in my ear.
You've got some big nostrils, buddy.
Yeah, that's like Shrek size. Shrek size nostrils.
It's got to help with the allergies. Josh, when did you get your PS3?
Oh, God. January?
That long ago? Really?
Yeah, maybe December. I think I got it just after Christmas.
Early adopter.
Am I considered an early adopter? Do I get that title?
Yeah.
No, you're just considered gay.
Nope. Keith gave me the title. I heard it.
Yeah, I would say you're at the very end. You're on the cusp of the early adopter generation.
Yeah, and you don't have one, fucking broke ass.
So what have you been playing on it, Josh?
My penis.
Other than your penis and folding, what have you been doing
Folding
with your PS3?
penis.
Oh, wait, are we actually doing the podcast now?
Yeah.
Oh. I've been playing Mortal Kombat 2, Tekken Dark Resurrection, Gran Turismo HD, NBA 2K7, and MotorStorm.
Who do you play as in Mortal Kombat?
Sub-Zero, Reptile, Raiden, Johnny Cage.
So you like the people that are all dressed the same in different colors?
Yeah, I like to dress up as Sub-Zero, and I'll like jump in a shut the fuck up pool, and yeah.
Nick, what have you been playing?
With himself.
Aside from myself, I would have to say, right now, the only game I got with the PS3 when I first got it was Oblivion, because my roommate pretty much has all the other ones. So, yeah, Oblivion is what I've been playing, and I feel kind of like happy that I get to play it now, because I got to read about how awesome it was, and I never got to play it. So that would have been a blemish on my gaming resume if I didn't have that under there.
You wouldn't be elite unless you were playing it.
No, I'm sure in the future when there's a list of games that you must play in order to be considered a gamer, that will be on there, and I will cry many tears because I didn't play it. So now I get to play it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing aside from Pokemon, but I don't think anyone wants to hear any more Pokemon conversation.
Oh, hell no.
Because there's, 493 different Pokemon that I could talk about in detail if you'd like.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Just out of curiosity, why did you want Oblivion for the PS3 instead of PC?
It all comes down to system specs. I mean, my PC just cannot handle it. When it initially came out, everyone was talking about how it would hose your system pretty bad if you had a pretty older system, and my system's getting there, so I didn't even want to risk it. I would hate to have the graphics detriment the actual gaming experience, so I just didn't want to go for it.
That makes sense.
On the PS3, it's still not even what I was expecting, actually. Like, the graphics, the frame rate, you can tell that it's in the 20 to 30 range. Like, it seems to jump around there a good amount. I mean, the gameplay is actually really awesome. I mean, I've only played it for an hour or so, but it's definitely, gameplay-wise, everything I expected. So, extremely satisfied with my purchase.
About the only thing I've been playing is, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this, I've been playing the show. That's about it.
The show, MLB The Show?
MLB The Show.
How is that? Because
PS2.
That's coming out for the 3 soon, and Josh just mentioned it like not too long ago before the podcast.
I like it. I mean, I was a big fan of it on PS2 when it came out last year for 06. The career mode is what I really like because I played baseball in high school and, Little League. But it's a lot of fun. It's I wouldn't say it's the most immersive type game in the world. I mean, you really have to be kind of a stats whore like me to appreciate something that's baseball, because baseball, let's face it, isn't the most exciting game in the world.
Yeah.
But one of the nice things you can do in career mode is just fast forward to your next career or next plate appearance, or next time you're in a game. I mean, the toughest thing about it right now is trying to break into the big leagues in spring training.
Wait, you start the game not even in the pros?
Yeah, basically you create your character, if that's what you want to call it. You give yourself certain stats, and you have so many points to give to different characteristics. And then you have to choose a team for which you want to start out. And what you do is you look at the teams. I don't want to get too in-depth into this, but you pick the team that's kind of shallow at that position that you want to play. And I chose third base. And kind of stupidly on my part, I chose the Yankees because all they've got ahead of me at third base is A-Rod.
I was about to say,
I should be able to beat him out for third base. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, the game's fun. I mean, I love baseball, and I like the hitting because there's different ways you can hit. You can choose different views. You can choose whether or not you see where the pitch is going to go. You can guess pitch location. You can guess the type of pitch that's coming in. If you guess them right, the different cues tell you that you're right. So it's pretty cool. I like the game a lot.
Would I like it if I don't like baseball? No, all right. I don't know.
Baseball. It's hard for me to judge.
But
it's hard for me to judge that for someone.
All right, fine. I'll accept your cop-out answer.
I don't mean to be copying out, but I love baseball, and I know I love the stats and everything about the stats. So I know I appreciate the game for what it is.
Fair enough. Josh, so all you've been playing is PSN games? Is that what we heard?
On the PlayStation 3 side, yeah. I mean, just last night, me and my brother actually decided to take the Wii, and we played some Wii Sports. Probably the first time I turned on the console since, I'd say, February. So, I mean, it wasn't too bad. We actually got to play it. And I haven't turned my 360 on in probably well over a month and a half. There's nothing for it that I want. So basically right now, I'm just PS Triple and the Wii.
It's funny how Wii Sports is always pulled out. Like, people come over, and not so much recently, but I mean, people would come over and they'd see the Wii, and they're like, instantly, Wii Sports, let's do Wii Sports, let's have a Wii Sports party. Like, they would just start at random. And it still sounds like, that happens. Like, people always just want to play Wii Sports. The only game that everyone knows about is Wii Sports, which is both a success and a failure on Nintendo's part.
It's the perfect pick up and play multiplayer game. I mean, you don't have to know anything about any other type of gameplay. I mean, the commands are so simple that anyone, relatively speaking, can pick it up and play it with relative ease.
If 90-year-old people can play it, then by God, anyone can.
They really should come out with a full version of the game with stats and everything else, because, I mean, it's already a big hit. You might as well come out with a full version of it, play a full game of baseball, and it keeps stats and everything else that you do.
I think that would kill its appeal, though. I mean, like he said, the fact that it's so accessible is what makes it so approachable. It's just, you want to be able to just pick it up and swing a bat and not have to worry about stats and throwing the ball to first base to get the play. Something like that. You just want to catch balls, hit the balls, play with balls.
Pretty sure you don't get to catch any balls.
No, you don't, but people just want to hit balls, I guess. That's what it comes down to.
I do.
And roll balls.
You hit balls in tennis. You can punch people in the balls in boxing.
That's right. Boxing is so janky, though.
It is.
God, boxing is the worst game on it.
Well, all right. Well, here's the thing. People online will say boxing is like. Some people will say that they like boxing the most, and other people will say boxing's broken. I'm on the boxing is broken side of the fence. That sounds like you guys are too.
It's busted.
But I mean, do they just not know how to play? Do we not know how to play? I mean, I gave up on it pretty quickly, but I don't consider myself noobish in the sense of figuring out controls either. So.
I'm an athletic type person. I mean, I'm very coordinated. I can juggle. I mean, boxing is broken. If my hand movements and my real body do not match what's happening on the screen in any way, shape, or form, then it's broken, and they don't match up. So yeah, I think it's definitely got problems.
So if Wii Sports 2 is to come out, Josh, what would you want in it? You said you want stats and all that, but Is that really what you want in Wii Sports 2, or is that what you want in a different game, and then they have Wii Sports 2 as something else?
Well, I mean, if they did a different game, then I would want it to replicate what Wii Sports did, but in a full game style. If they did Wii Sports 2, then I can't really think of anything else I would want in it. I don't know, maybe like
Oh, I can't.
What game would you
Devil
put
May
in
Run
there?
Up on a nigga, but that's about it.
Would you put a new game in there? Different games in there?
I
I'd put. Go ahead.
I can't really think of anything. I mean, unless you want to try like something like lacrosse or something along those lines, but I can't really think of anything that they could do.
Do you think they'd go as far as making a foot attachment and playing soccer?
Yeah, I could actually. Haven't they already talked about that once? I could have sworn I've seen a foot attachment for the Wiimote before.
No, I don't think there's been any confirmation of anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Because all I want
They
to
should
do is
add basketball to it.
oh yeah, basketball. But all I want to do if they add a foot attachment, I want to kick and have my Wiimote fly off my foot and go right through my TV because that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Make sure you get that on video.
Yeah.
Speaking of, is there did all the Wii accidents suddenly stop? Like,
Yeah, they did.
was it just like a huge fake thing that the
It's
internet
the
created,
straps.
or what?
The new straps went out, and nobody's having accidents anymore.
Or at
Yeah,
least
but-
not reporting it.
I think it was a lot of internet fakery. I mean, how did the news magically stop as more and more systems are getting out? I mean, just based on statistics alone, we should be hearing more and more.
Yeah, but I think people just stopped giving a shit.
Mhm.
You've seen one Wii accident, you've seen them all.
Yep.
It's true. Remote goes flying, curses are told, babies are punched, and then, yeah.
Someone loses an eye, and it's not funny anymore.
Or it's hilarious and not for them, but that's fine.
Or YouTube's banning all those videos.
What? Are they really?
Nothing? No, not really. I was just making that
No,
up.
I was about to get pissed. We'd have to go into a whole nother conversation of non-video game related law stuff, which Keith could speak hours of.
But I won't. So besides home, what are we looking forward to as far as games
Warhawk.
or apps?
I want Warhawk. It's so stupid, but I want Warhawk more than I want any other game right now, and I don't know why. I couldn't give you a good answer.
Hype.
It's not even hype. I don't think the game has too much hype behind it. I really like the animations for the flying. It seems to me like a game that I could just kind of sit down and play in and just have a good time. I mean, it just seems right.
Yeah, I definitely want Warhawk as well, and it's not for the hype. There really, like Nick said, isn't too much hype surrounding the game. On top of that, I really want Little Big Planet, obviously. As well as Calling All Cars, maybe, hopefully, this week they'll actually get it out. I pray, because I really want it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think, besides the obvious, like Metal Gear and all that, which is too far off to really even mention, that's all I really want on the PS3 side. On the Wii, pretty much the same exact thing. Everything's too far off. I want Smash Brothers Brawl. That's about it for the Wii. And nothing on the 360 really interests me.
On the 360 side, I definitely want to see what comes of Mass Effect and Too Human. I mean, Too Human to me looks more of like a definite purchase than Mass Effect does. Mass Effect I'm still not too sold on. I mean, in terms of what it's trying to do with the action and stuff, it looks kind of Graw meets chess type thing, and I don't know if I like it. Whereas, they have the communication system where you can interrupt people mid-sentence and stuff like that. That looks kind of cool. But, I don't know. Nothing screaming at me as like a I must purchase. But whereas Too Human, it looks actually pretty killer. So, yeah. And on the Wii side, definitely just, Zelda 2, Mario, Smash Brothers Brawl, Metroid Prime, all the major first-party stuff. And I'm actually looking forward to, now that I said the word party, Mario Party 8, because that actually looks like it could be really good. I could see that dethroning Wii Sports as the party game of choice, at least among kids, younger people.
Wow, I can't believe you're going to support illegal aliens like that.
That's how I roll.
Well, about the only thing I'm looking forward to right now is Forza 2 on the 360, and quite frankly, that's probably going to be the only game that saves me from selling my 360.
The AI will eat your children.
That's fine, I don't have any children.
It already ate them. I mean, you've heard all the stories about the AI, how they like let the game learn on its own and it was owning people.
That's fine. That's what I want. I want Forza 2 to be the most realistic sim-type racing game that's ever come out on the 360. And from what I've read, what I've heard, I think it will. I mean, the only thing that bothers me a little bit is that they haven't released the demo for it yet, and it supposedly comes out the first week in June.
Yeah, they should get on that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all we got. I want to thank Josh Bicknell and Nick Maselli.
Oh, yeah!
And hopefully we'll be back next week. Remember, you guys can always reach us on the forums. Feel free to post there as much as possible. Also, I want to give a shout out to our boy Mark. And one more thing. We have a folding at home team for Playgasm. You can find the number for that on our website, playgasm.com. So until next time, we're out.
Later.
Peace!
Fatality is a douchebag.